Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Bendeguz Rosta. I'm a test automation engineer at Commsignia. I've been working here for 2.5 years now. I studied IT engineering at the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. My hobbies include playing music, playing volleyball, and cars and driving, and that's how I got to this company. A little explanation for the terrible pun in the title of my presentation. I used to work as a roadie and a sound engineer during my university years. I actually worked a lot here in aquarium. And I brought a lot of that mindset into the job I have. Our product at Commsignia basically is two hardware, an OBU, you can see on the left. It's an onboard unit that goes into cars. And an RSU on the right that usually goes, it's a roadside unit, so it goes on highways and in cities. I'm going to talk about testing these products in real-life scenarios today. The boring part. The whole testing procedure starts with the requirements. So if you have good requirements with your customers, you can start planning the testing early and even implement the automatic tests with the devs simultaneously. But unfortunately, since this market is pretty new, our customers' needs are ever changing, so we have to adapt always. But I'm sure you know iterative stuff, so I'm not going to go into details. Testing the code starts early with dev testing. Sometimes we have to provide infrastructures for the devs, like simulations, where they can try out their code. But most of the times, dev testing is just basic unit testing. Our first proper task as testers comes with integration, when we have to put together our hardware with external hardware, for example, traffic light controllers, and maybe we have to try two hardware to communicate with each other, for example, an OBU and an RSU. And also we have to build a CRUD system matching the system that the customer uses. Of course, we try to automate as much as possible, as early as possible. But these automated tasks usually are used for regression testing during releases and also, of course, nightly with every new build. We have a custom test framework because we use API testing to be able to test on the hardware itself. I'm sure we had previous presentations here about them, so I'm not going to get into details because it's early and we had the party yesterday. So. Yeah, so my two main topics tonight will be the simulation testing and the field testing, where the simulation, before you go into the field, you have to have some kind of simulated environment where you can move your virtual cars around and test everything. And also with field testing, you just put the stuff on cars and go out to the field. For simulation testing, we have several tools. Here you can see our tool called Demo Studio, where you just draw on the map paths and you can simulate movement on several cars, of course, speed, and you can fiddle with the kinematics and everything, maybe simulate traffic lights and so on. You can see our front end. It's an Android front end. We have several different front ends, but for testing, this is the one used most. You can see your position on the map here, and you can see the notifications if something happens, and so on. For next, I think I have to show you a video. I hope that it starts. First, I will tell you what happens, and then maybe you can understand. So I injected the road warning message into the device, and upon driving onto the relevant zone in simulation, you can see the notification popping up. Do I have to click again? No. Okay, maybe we will skip the videos here because they don't start. Okay, so now for the more interesting part, for the field tests. Here you can see the setup of the cars. Here there are 2 antennas per car. Disregard the ones that are built into the cars because we are just testing with our own. And the reason here is because we have different kind of radios, so we tested here how they can work simultaneously. During field test, the booths of the cars are basically mobile offices, so you can do a lot of debugging, but of course you don't want to do everything on the field because it's not really convenient, and the boot lid doesn't provide that much of a shield of the elements, so you just want to collect data and bring it home and come back later. Here you can see an RSU setup and a pole. Usually we don't put it outside because you can just put it in the car, but here we did measurements for the range, so it was really important to mimic a real-life positioning. This is the foresight I told you about. Here you can see our convoy moving, and also a message that was supposed to be on the video previously. So basically a map notification looks like this, and you should get notifications on the right, top right, if you're driving into the relevant zone. There's another video. Here it's supposed to, like, the 2 cars were crossing each other's path, and you should get a notification before collision. Of course, after a successful day at field testing, you have to replenish the lost nutrients, so every team has their preference regarding fast food chains. But you can see the first 4 cars here set up with the antennas. The funny thing is when we are moving in a convoy, not a lot of people are there to overtake us because they think we are some kind of like police or something like that. Okay, for the last 2 slides, I brought 4 pictures of my Instagram. As today's office pictures, it's like... my family lives in Győr, and we have a test set up at the highway M1. So whenever I visit my family, I usually just pop on a device, an antenna on my roof, and I can see how it works. You can see the foresight on the right, and of course Waze on the left, because you don't want to get fined for speeding. Okay, on the left, you can see one of those rare occasions when I'm not behind the steering wheel. Sometimes you have to watch at least 3 screens during the test, and it would be a little bit not too safe to drive while doing that. So sometimes you have to ask one of your colleagues to drive. I don't really like to do that because I like driving. And on the right, you can see a minimal setup. We had to do an ad hoc range test like 2 days before Christmas. So the minimal setup is just a battery, the device, an antenna, a laptop, and the most important thing is the IKEA box called Samla. We are really fond users of that product. I think that's about it. I hope you enjoy this light presentation early in the morning. You can catch me in these contacts, and if you have any questions, we have a booth outside, so feel free to come and ask anything.